أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight we want to shed light on another grave sin, and that is the sin of theft. A sin on which the three divine religions agreed. For we all hear that in the 10 commandments of Moses, peace be upon him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Thou shalt not steal." And when we come to Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, we know that a Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, didn't come forward with a set of laws that replaced the set of laws of Moses, peace be upon him. Yes, there were modifications done here and there. However, in general, Jesus, peace be upon him, demanded the children of Israel to follow the set of laws of Moses, peace be upon him. Hence you find that in the Bible, when we come to the Gospel of Matthew, according to the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, when we go to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17, Jesus says, peace be upon him, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill." As for when we go to the Holy Quran, the Quran al-Kareem says in Surah Ali Imran verse 50 that Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, said, وَمُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيَّ مِنَ التَّوْرَاتِ, and a verifier, meaning I am a verifier of that which is before me of the Torah. So Isa alayhi salam came forward to confirm the teachings of the Torah, the Torah of Musa, peace be upon him. Then the Quran Kareem says that Isa said, وَلِأُحِلَّ لَكُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ, and that I may allow you part of that which has been forbidden to you. From this word we understand that yes, Isa alayhi salam made some modifications, with Allah's permission of course, in the laws of Musa alayhi salam, but in general he demanded Banu Israel to follow the set of laws of Moses, peace be upon him. When we come to the Holy Quran, also we find that the Holy Quran explicitly speaks about theft and considers it to be a great crime. In fact, the Quran al-Kareem tells us that there is a worldly punishment prepared for the thieves. According to the Islamic laws, the thieves receive a worldly punishment for their crime. Bear in mind, of course, that there is a set of conditions that need to be fulfilled in order for that punishment to be executed. If one of those conditions isn't fulfilled, then the thief won't receive the punishment that the Quran mentions. However, in general, stealing is a major crime that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for which Allah azza wa jal has prepared a grave punishment in the hereafter. When thinking about this crime, we remember another sin that is somewhat related to theft, and that is using other people's wealth or properties or money without their permission. For according to the set of Islamic laws, according to Islamic law, one isn't allowed to make use of other people's money or properties without their permission. We have a narration by our current Imam Sahib al-Zaman, may Allah hasten his reappearance, that you can find in Wasa'il al-Shi'a for Al-Hurr al-Amili rahmatullah alayh. Sahib al-Zaman is narrated to have said, لا يحل لأحد أن يتصرف في مال غيره بغير إذنه. He says it is unlawful for any individual to use other people's wealth or properties without his or her permission, meaning without the permission of the owner, the one who owns that property or that wealth. Let us give a few examples here on this regard so we may add clarity to this issue, and we may realize that sometimes we might fall into this sin accidentally or willfully. The first example pertains to guests. As you know, when a person welcomes his guests, when you have a host who welcomes his guests, usually the host allows his guests to sit in a particular room in his house, such as the family room or the living room, or, for example, the basement. He might take them down to the basement, etc. But usually, the host won't allow his guests to wander around the house and to go into every room in the house, especially if his womenfolk are inside his house. Thus, we say that it is unlawful for a guest to walk into, for example, the host's bedroom, or to walk into certain rooms in the house unless he knows that the host allows him to do so. If he doesn't know whether the host gives him permission to do that specific deed, then he must take permission from the host. This is the first example. The second example pertains to amanat. It pertains to a trust that a person leaves with you. Suppose that one day your friend leaves a particular item of his with you, such as his laptop, and he tells you that inshallah in a day or two I'm going to pick up my laptop, but I want you in the meantime to keep it with you and to preserve it, make sure that it doesn't get damaged. Now, you don't know whether your friend actually allows you to use that laptop or not, but it's with you, it's inside your house, and you're the one responsible of protecting or preserving that laptop. Hence, can you use it? Here, Islam says no, you can't. You must take permission from your friend. If you need to use it, or you absolutely have to use it, then you must contact your friend, give him a phone call, or send him a message. Make sure that you take permission from him to use the laptop. If he gives you permission, then you can use it. And if he says no, then obviously you cannot use it. It's very important, brothers and sisters, to keep this point in mind. For as we said, sometimes we might use other people's items, such as their phones or their laptops or certain gadgets or accessories, without actually knowing whether they allow us to use these items or not. And that is a sin. That is a sin. We've understood until now that theft is a crime according to Islamic law, and using other people's wealth or properties without their permission is also a sin. That being said, we understand that ghasb, usurpation, is definitely a sin. I mean, if you can't use another person's item unless he gives you permission to use it, then you definitely can't usurp that item. Makes complete sense, right? Here we find, unfortunately, when thinking about the concept of ghasb, of usurpation, that unfortunately a good amount of people fall into this sin sometimes. And I'll give you a clear example on this regard. Suppose that you have family members living in a particular village. Each family member has a piece of land that he owns. That family member is the neighbor of who? Of another family member, such as his cousin or his brother or his uncle, etc. Here, what will you find? Especially in certain countries in the Middle East, you'll find that the family member will usurp an amount of land, possibly a small amount of land that belongs to his relative, thinking that this is okay, thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't hold him accountable for his deed. Because number one, he has only usurped a small amount of land, maybe a handspan, or two or three handspans from the other person's land. And secondly, it's his cousin or his uncle. So what if he, usurps some of his belongings? Here Islam says, wrong. You're not supposed to think like that. You are not allowed to usurp other people's lands or properties or wealth, even if they're your family members, especially if they're your family members. Usurpation in general is refuted. Hence you find that Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, peace be upon him, tells us in a beautiful hadith that you can find in the book Wasail al-Shia, as Al-Hurr al-Amali cites Nahj al-Balagha. The Imam says what? He says, Al-Hajar al-Ghasb fi ad-dar rahnun ala kharabiha. There's another version for this hadith which says, Al-Hajar al-Ghasib fi ad-dar rahnun ala kharabiha. Here the Imam alayhi salam tells us that even the smallest forms of usurpation are dangerous and refuted in Islam. What does he say? He says if there is one usurped brick in a house, the presence of one, not two and not three, just one usurped brick in a house will eventually lead that house to its destruction, which could possibly mean that if there's only one usurped brick used to build a full house, sooner or later that house will be physically destroyed. From this hadith we understand, brothers and sisters, that there's absolutely no room for usurpation in Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from theft and from usurpation, and in fact may He protect us from all sins. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala al-Mustafa Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin.